Welcome back to my deep dive into the law on the TikTok ban. Today we're going to talk about TikTok and the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. Apparently, since 2021, they had been in prolonged negotiations to try to come up with some resolution so that TikTok didn't get banned. From January of 2021 to August of 2022, the government and ByteDance and TikTok engaged in prolonged negotiations to try to ease some of the government's concerns about data security and Chinese manipulation. They engaged in an intensive process to come up with a national security agreement and ultimately did come up with a 90-page draft. The Department of Justice attorney who was negotiating this for the government said that this draft would effectively mitigate national security risk associated with TikTok. That's according to the Department of Justice attorney who negotiated this thing. Under this agreement, all protected United States data would be stored in the United States by Oracle. Oracle was picked by the government as a preferred provider. All of the data would be overseen by TikTok US Data Services, which would be a newly formed corporation. TikTok US Data Services would be supervised by a board of directors, and the United States government would have the ability to approve or deny this board of directors. There were monetary and other penalties for non-compliance. They were so far into negotiating this thing that TikTok even began to voluntarily implement some of these measures. They moved all the data over to Oracle and spent $2 billion beginning to implement these measures. However, in September of 2022, the government just stopped negotiating. They just stopped engaging with TikTok and said, nope, we're done. We're not having any more conversations without explanation. When pressed for an explanation, the lawyer who had been negotiating this said, it's coming from higher up than me. An executive wants me to stop, and so I have to stop. TikTok says this national security agreement is exactly the kind of narrowly tailored option that would not impede speech. However, the government chose not to go forward with it. The government says that they quit negotiating because they did not believe that the negotiations were in good faith, and they didn't believe that ByteDance was going to abide by the terms of the negotiations. Why do I go into all this? I do think that the court could look at this option, this national security agreement that TikTok was willing to enter into, as a least restrictive option to protect the national security interests but not impede speech. Stick around, we got a few more things to talk about before the big day on January 10th.